weekend at the beach sprints, and she earned herself a bronze medal at that event in the B final. Now we look to this event here. We've got quite a packed field. We've got Eman Rafiq and Abdullah Alhay for Saudi Rowing Training Center in lane 1. Alejandro Caro and Antonio Javier Barbero Vega for Club Maritime Limene in lane 2. Corey Rogers and Christine Cavallo, we just saw there for Next Level Rowing in lane 3. Gail Irania and Yannick Bodelo for Société Nautique de la Baie de Saint-Malo in lane 4. Franco Nicolas Repetto, Marina Sofia Koski for Rapas del Embarcadero of Spain. Sarah Pigeon and Aubrey Oldham of Don Rowing Club Canada in lane 6. Violante Lema and Rosario Panteca for Dibi Rowing Club Italy in 7. Chloe Briard and Kerry-Anne Boulet for Société Nautique de la Baie de Saint-Malo, France in lane 8. Lida Niemi and Joel Karanen, the Finnish coastal rowers in lane 9. Pedro Meister Gill and Lorena Merida for Club Maritimo Linene in 10. Here we're looking at, in lane 6, Aubrey Oldham and Sarah Pigeon. And then we've got Elena Joanna Armelli and Riccardo Peretti for Canottieri Mondello of Italy in lane 11. And then completing our field in lane 12, Monica Dukarska and Ronan Byrne, composite from Shandon and Portmagee, Ireland. So a stacked field, 6 places into the A final, 6 going through to the B final. Joel Karanen competing in just about every boat class that will have him. He raced in the solo earlier. He's now in the mixed double, and he's coxing in the women's quad. There's Rosario Panteca in the stroke seat of the Dibi Rowing Club Italy 3 boat. Iconic pink suits there, joined by Violante Lama. Looks like a good quick start for them getting underway. There'll be some to watch. Composite crew from Ireland on the near side of this picture. 2 well-trained athletes from the Irish rowing squad, Dukarska and Byrne. We'll keep our eyes peeled for them. They'll have the strength and depth to put on a fast time. And we know that they're no strangers to coastal rowing, so they've got the experience to be able to turn that strength and speed on the ergo into fast pace on the water here at the Coastal Championships. So we'll see how they get themselves up to speed. And it looks like a fast start for France, where we've got Chloe Briard and Kerry-Anne Boulet just ahead of the Canadians, Aubrey Oldham and Sarah Pigeon. They'll be pleased with that start, punching it out towards an early lead. They were saying yesterday that they'd want to get out in front and get to that first turning point as quick as they possibly can. So they'll be pleased with that performance thus far. Lots of support required from the bank to make sure that they take a straight line. Nobody wanting to have to peek over their shoulder and risk missing a stroke that could earn them distance in this early stage, where it's just so important that they get to that first turning point quickly. It gets a little bit tricky to do overtakes later on down the course. So the field starting to spread out slightly. You can see some of the trailing boats there, probably out of contention for an A final position already. But France still out in front of Canada. And then we've got Rogers and Cavallo for the USA's Next Level Rowing. And then the Italians, we've got from Canottieri Mondello, Armelli and Peretti, ahead of their fellow country men and women, Lama and Panteca of Dibi Rowing Club. And then Ireland 2, where we find the composite of Dukarska and Byrne riding in 6th place. So that's the 1 to 6, and we can see there's 7 boats in this little pack coming up towards the first turning point. It actually looks more like 8 boats when we see from this angle. So we'll see how they get themselves towards this first turning point. They're halfway there, just over halfway there. The French at the front of the field, solidifying a bit over a length lead. There's some clear water there. Boulet and Briard, a fast start for them. So they're up there at 32 strokes a minute, pushing towards the first buoy, but they're getting their lead eroded ever so gradually by the Next Level Rowing crew of Rogers and Cavallo, starting to close in, wanting to pinch forwards and take the lead of this race. They've got the slightly longer arc to make around from the outside. They were in lane 3. Some would argue that that's the safer option being over there, because they can take as wide a course as they need to avoid any possible tangles. But frankly, this weekend we just haven't seen any of the tangles like we saw in Oeiras, Portugal 2 years ago. Because they've added that extra buoy, they've got a little bit of a wider course to take. That's Gwyn Batten, she's the council member for coastal rowing. The brain, you could say, behind putting on these events and making them happen. And the constant improvements we see in the way that they're run, impressive, leveling up just about every single year. Now you can see then, even with the wave-piercing bow, the French starting to feel the pressure of the Americans over on the far side of the course. Canada, Don rowing in the middle of that picture, looking to try and get up into the lead as well. All these boats very spread out, as we've typically seen in this first leg. They're all going to have to converge into that first turning point. We might see France struggle because the others will start to squeeze in on them, and they'll have to take the narrowest angle around that buoy. See on the left-hand side of the picture, that's Rosario Panteca and Violante Lama from Dibi Rowing Club, just trailing behind the other Italians from Canottieri Mondello. Can't be more than another 100 meters or so from this turning point. That's where it's all going to come together. USA at the top of the picture there. That's the Italians from Canottieri Mondello on the right, and then we've got Ireland 2, the composite of Shandon and Portmagee, where we've got Monica de Casca and Ronan Byrne plugging away, holding the front of the field. 6 places to go through. I think some of those boats at the back of this pack now starting to struggle for the pace. This is where it really starts to burn. They'll be coming up towards 800 meters in already. Many of these crews will have gone out as fast as they possibly can to try and get the edge in the early stages. That's where they burn up their energy reserves and certainly put a lot of strain into the fine muscles that they have to use to keep these boats level, and the micro adjustments that they're making to keep the boats straight, as well as putting the power through where they have the opportunity. You can see the slightly bigger rolling waves now as they're getting out into the deeper water. Italy 1 leading Canottieri Mondello. That's Elena Ioanna Armelli and Riccardo Peretti. .30 strokes a minute for our leaders at the front of the field, so they've settled into their race rhythm now. Here's that first turning point as we see France going around it first. Chloé Briard and Kerianne Boulet. Thought the Italians might have pipped them to the turning point, but no, they've kept a very consistent approach to this race. Ireland 2 looking to try and move through and take second, but I think that's the Americans at the top right of the picture there who are holding on to third. And then we've got the Irish in fourth, so still quite a lot chopping around at the front of the field here. Italy, according to their timer, went round that buoy first, but I wonder if that's because they took the slightly wider arc. They may find themselves behind the French as we see them straighten out again and make this pivot round to turning point 3 in the distance and towards the marina, far off on the horizon. So I think that is the case. It looks as though the French are still out in front, but Ireland starting to move up and going with them. So I think we're going to start to see the Italians struggle for pace here. They've got the Americans in a 4th place off the right of this picture. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th. Then we've got the Canadians, Sarah Pigeon and Aubrey Oldham. 6th, we've got Spain. 7, where we find Franco Nicolas Repetto and Marina Sofia Cosco from Rapastel Embarcadero. And then they're in 6th place, so that's the danger seat. Finland's now Karenin and Niemi currently in 7th. They've got 2 seconds to make up if they want to contest a place in, well, in fact, you can see on this graphic they're in 6th now, but that's because they're level at the back of the pack there. So not much separating 6th, 7th and 8th at all, really, as we make our way down the back leg, or the back straight towards turning point 3. This is where the race can be made or broken. Wave-piercing bow on the front of the French boat there, just to make sure that they stay level. Very, very sharp front end. Slightly deeper section front end with the bow, wave-piercing bow of the Canadians. Sarah Pigeon and Aubrey Oldham just alongside Finland. Finland and Canada trading places for 6th. And Spain just a few meters their stern. So we'll see what happens as they start to straighten out. Who navigates the straightest course to try and earn themselves a position into that A final. Finland will be relying on Joel's power. However, we do need to recognize that it wasn't long ago that he raced the solo, so he'll have burnt a lot of his energy in that race. They're currently ticking over at 31 strokes a minute. Let's see Rosario Panteca and Violante Lama on the left-hand side of this screen for Italy. They're currently back in 8th place, so work to do to try and contend here. Aubrey Oldham and Sarah Pigeon dropping back as they get moved up through by Spain, Repetto and Koski. So Canada could now be in the danger zone and moving back into 7th place. Worrying stuff for them. They may find themselves in the B final unless we see a response, but we so often see this. The Spaniards out in that deeper water, most Spanish crews in fact, just able to tick it over for a slightly better boat speed without as much effort expended along the course. Coming up towards this 3rd turning point then, this is an 850-meter long segment down the back straight towards the Marina Wall. Tomorrow for the A finals, it'll be 1,500 meters, so nearly doubling in length this back straight. Still out in front though, France feeling the pressure as Italy now have overlap on them. And the Irish overlap on the Italians as well. And then we can see the Americans, they've taken a slightly wider route here, I think keen to keep themselves out of trouble. Corey Rogers in his iconic pink hat with his moustache, and Christine Cavallo in the stroke seat setting the rhythm. France have gone out strong. I wonder if this is that early push starting to pay, starting to get them back or bite back as they come up towards this 3rd turning point now. Work still to do, and they're going to need all their energy reserves to make the tight navigational turns they're going to need to through the remaining stages. 450 meters from turning point 3 to 4, 500 meters from points 4 to 5, and then we got that little chicane, 170 meter wide chicane around turning points 5 and 6 before they make the 350 meter legs back into shore. It's all changing around now. I think France's early lead really is starting to bite back now as we see Italy and Ireland start to move up level. We could see a little bit of a clash here around the turning point. Depends on France's approach to the turning point. They take it very, very close, spinning their blades around. Well handled by France. That's earned them half a length back on Ireland now. A very, very fast turn for them. They didn't slow or take the edge off their momentum at all, which we've seen some of the other boats do that, holding it up on the inside. Italy currently in 2nd, but I think we're going to see Ireland start to move through. They've got really good pace at the moment. USA dropping back to 4th. That's because they took the wider route around the corner, avoiding any potential mishaps or entanglements. But they've got great strength and endurance in the USA boat, so we may see them start to move up and contest 3rd place with the Italians, who are now in 3rd. So France pull out to, again, just over a length, showing their experience in the coastal rowing. Ireland are doing so as well. They're holding a solid 2nd place, pulling past Italy. This is that French leading combination. I think they struggled for the boat speed down the back straight, but it just shows their expertise and skill in navigating the tight corners has paid off, and that's where their coastal rowing experience slightly pips the Italians and the Irish when it comes to the navigation of that turn. Beautiful scenes here. You can see they're heading back in towards the shore now, where they'll find turning point 4, and then they'll start to angle back in towards the chicane. So leading 3 positions pretty clear. Not much separating USA currently in 4th, but then absolutely level past the 2,000 meter mark. We had Spain 7, where we've got the Rapaz del Embarcadero boat. They were absolutely level to the 100th of a second with the finish going around that corner. So they were level for 5th and 6th. That means it's Italy 3, Lama and Panteca in the danger zone of 7th and a place through to the B final. Behind them then, we see Aubrey Oldham and Sarah Pigeon dropping back slightly. They're now in 8th place, ahead of Caro and Barbero Vega for Spain 5, the Club Maritimo Lineni. Then we got France 5 behind them, the Société Nautique de la Baie de Saint-Malo, Gaël Irania and Yannick Boudelot. And then Saudi Arabia's Rafiq and Al-Hay at 11th place, just a nose ahead of Spain 8, Maestre and Merida. Well, this is the Irish rocketing past France to take the lead. A great couple 100 meters for them, just showing the strength and depth in their training out here on the water. Was a bit too much despite the technical skill and expertise of the French rowers from Société Nautique de la Baie de Saint-Malo. So a great race from Monica de Casca and Ronan Byrne, now leading from the front. Coming up towards the chicane then, in perhaps another 250 meters, where they'll go from turning point 5 to 6, 170 meters separating them. I can't see much changing at the front here. The question's going to be all around the back or the middle of the pack between Spain, Finland, and Italy 3's Dibby Rowing Club. There was about 8 seconds separating 6th to 7th as they passed the halfway point. So we'll see how Panteca and Lama have managed to close it down or not as they come in towards the chicane. This composite crew from Ireland showing that they have the endurance to keep that boat speed as high as they had it at the beginning. As we heard earlier, these boats tend to have a maximum speed, so it's all about how you push the boat speed as best as possible without burning yourself out. Here we go then, Finland currently in 5th. Jolnau Karanen and Lida Niemi. 6th place is Spain 7, Raspas de Embarcadero, and then it's Italy 3 in that danger seat, as we said earlier. Dibby Rowing Clubs, Lama and Panteca. They've got about 2 lengths up on the Canadians, so there's still all that to close down as we come in towards this chicane now. Strong, strong performance from Ireland. In the last kilometre, they've managed to go from a length behind France to now being 3 lengths up on France, going around turning point 5. So this is the chicane, where they'll now make their way up towards turning point 6, just 170 meters away. Doesn't look like there's any issues going around the corner there. Some braking or some hand braking from the Americans, just to make sure they take as tight a corner as they possibly can. And then we've got Finland behind them and Spain in 6th. And then you saw there was a pretty big lead up on Italy and the Canadians, the Italians from Dibby Rowing Club. I reckon we're probably seeing the chain of boats that will also be in this order when it comes to crossing the finish line. Now they have the advantage of rowing with the waves back into shore. No real rollers for them to enjoy any surf on at this stage, just the slightly choppy effect as the wind starts to stir up a little bit. That's the Italian crew out near the front of the field. Elena Ioanna Armelli and Riccardo Peretti from Canottieri Mondello. They're currently holding a good, safe 3rd place behind the French. Little armada of boats following this train all the way around our 4K course. Important that they don't have any wash or wake that could upset the athletes in the middle of the pack, because whilst they're trying to follow the leaders, it's the wake from those boats that may be washing down the real race, which is between places 6th and 7th in this last heat of our entire competition. I still can't quite believe it. It's the last heat for the mixed double sculls, the 3rd of 3. Quick peeks over their shoulders. I'm sure they're longing for this race to be over, the Irish here. But a great performance here representing Shandon and Portmagee, Monica Dakaska and Ronan Byrne. Finland looking good for that 6th place at the moment, with Panteca and Lama just astern of them in their pink suits. So the key thing is going to be, what can the Italians do to try and get back into this competition and row up through that. Spain currently in 6th, moving up through Finland now, putting on a bit of a push through the chicane. Spain's Raspas del Embarcadero, represented here by Franco Nicolas Repetto and Marina Sofia Koski. I think we see the finish just easing off the pressure now. I think they can look back and see the Italians and not feel that they need to really burn it out for a strong finish here. Joel has raced several times already. I don't know how he's got anything left in the tank. At least when he's racing in the women's quad, he'll be in the coxswain seat. So he'll have to use his brain to motivate them to a fast race. And then we can see the Italians there. They're in that danger zone, 7th, just coming around the buoy. They'll have to empty the tank now in this finishing sprint towards the line. Nobody's going to touch these leaders, though. Monica Dakaska and Ronan Byrne, 2.5 to 3 lengths up on the crew from France, who have had a great race. I mean, their coastal expertise really paid off at the start. Couldn't quite hold the pace ahead of Dakaska and Byrne, who just have absolute engines on them. And they've managed to catch a little bit of a wave here as well, so they'll be able to surf that in slightly towards the beach. And then we're going to see Monica Dakaska run up the shore. She's in the bow seat. David, the Hasselhoff Hussey there, giving us his best impression, coming up to hold on to the beach. hold on to the boat. Only one person's allowed to run up the beach when it comes to the endurance variation compared to the beach sprints. But Dukaszka's going to lock in the win here for the third heat of the mixed double sculls. She'll be pleased with that. I think she'll have perhaps been a little bit worried by them being in second or third through the back leg. But they paid that off with their effort through the chicane and the strong lead. And then, of course, we had France coming in with Chloe Briard, and then here, Elena Ioana Armelli for third place for Italy. Fourth, then, we've got the USA's Christine Cavallo making the run up the beach ahead of Finland's Joel Karinen. And then sixth place, putting in a proper sprint here just to lock it in, we've got Spain's Marina Sofia Koski. So that's the leading six through. We know who's going through to the A final. We'll see the rest race again in the B final. But for the time being, we've got Luca down there at the finish line. So let's hear from the athletes. I think they're just gathering their breath, and then Luca will do his best to collar them. This, of course, being the last heat of the championships. Over to you, Luca.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a wonderful sprint here. An amazing race for Ireland. You just won the third and last heat of the mixed double scull. How was it?
It was great. We had a strategy and we stick to it, so we were happy that we were making ground.
Talk us about the strategy. What was the strategy?
I suppose initially to get first to the first buoy, but that didn't happen, so then we just focused on rowing well together and just responded to the race that is unfolded.
You qualified into the A final. What's the next? What will it be, the A final?
I would say it would be, a fight for the medals, really.
That's great. Good job to you. Well done. And now let me hear from the Italian combination here, Elena and Riccardo. Elena, you qualified for the A final. How was it?
It's fantastic. It's a very beautiful race. Strong water in the start. There is some wave, but Riccardo is fantastic.
Well done to you, well done. And you qualified again. Another wonderful race for you. What's your secret?
I have tried to train myself in good shape. That was the fourth boat here into the A final for me.
Well, that's a great job and great achievement. Now rest, relax. We can't wait to see you into the A final.
Yeah, all those 4 times.
Well done to you.
Can you believe it? He's going to be racing 4 times in the A finals tomorrow. There are only 7 A finals to race. They might as well let him race in some of the categories he's not meant to, just to see if he can get the clean sweep. But he's racing 4 times tomorrow. Joel Karinen, an absolute monster of a man, a real athlete he is. We look forward to that tomorrow. But here's a recap of that race. A cracking start for France, where Chloe Briard and Kerry Boulet took the early lead. Round this turning point, expert precision and expertise and skill from these coastal rowers. But that's the Irish rocketing past them through the corner. Monica Dukaszka and Ronan Byrne from Shandon and Portmagee ultimately taking the win. Dukaszka across the line, leading the way into the A final from the mixed doubles. Well, folks, what a day it's been. We've had all of the heats, which means everybody knows their final if they've made it into a final. There are 3 B finals later on today. You'll have to follow on the results on the website to find out how they get on. And then we've got 4 B finals tomorrow morning before we get into the medal finals, which will be brought to you live on this broadcast from 10 o'clock, or will be live just before 10 o'clock